Hello, hello, and welcome to everyone. Welcome, welcome. We're going to let everyone fill up the room. This is super exciting to see the interest in this webinar and how much folks are excited about understanding your career goals and your personal branding. So if you want to let us know in the chat where you're joining from, um, if you have a fun fact you want to share, something you learned today, or something you're looking forward to, would love to hear it. Bio, Biodune, Huda, Joy, Kingsley, Martin, Obina, Stella, Taiwo, Teo, Tom, Trisha, glad to see you here. Victor and Victoria. We have a really exciting workshop slash webinar in store for you. And we'll go ahead and get started. So my name is Dr. Jennifer Bangoura, and I'm Nexford University's Director of Career Innovation, which really means what I'm trying to do every day is identify ways we can provide scalable career support to help our learners and alumni pivot and promote in their careers. We know that so many of you are joining Nexford because you want to advance in your careers, whether that's getting a promotion in your current role or pivoting industries and moving to a new company. And you are already receiving, your experiential education with Nexford, where you can immediately apply what you're learning in your courses to your work or to your future work if you're job seeking. And it's great to sometimes take a moment and have these live sessions where we can receive your questions in the Q&A, get some more feedback on how we can provide better support. So what I want this to be, I know we are on Zoom. I can't see you. Hopefully you can see and hear me all right. I want this to be as interactive as possible. So we have a few ways that this can happen. Obviously, we have the chat, which is great. I see people are joining from the US, Nigeria, Tanzania, Somaliland, Egypt. I'm in Malawi. It's really wonderful to see the breadth and depth of, we have Kenya, that's great. So let's use the chat to have informal ways to connect with one another. Please use the Q&A button on the bottom of either your mobile device or your desktop to add questions. I'll try and address questions as relevant during the presentation, and we'll also have time for me to address them at the end. You will receive a copy of this presentation. You will receive a recording, so don't worry about that. That will be coming your way. With that in mind, thank you again to everyone for sharing where you're joining from. I'm thrilled to be here with you today. So like I said, my name is Jennifer Bangoura. My background is in higher education, career development, and online learning. So for the past 15 years, I've worked in both the environment, but also mainly the education sector, helping people identify their career goals, understand ways to update career materials, land interviews, and navigate job searches. I'm originally from the United States, and I'm currently based in Malawi, where I work for Nexford remotely. And I've been a little over 2 years that I've been with Nexford, and I really get energized by connecting with our learners and alumni because you all have inspiring career paths, education journeys. We all have different reasons, different ways and paths that have brought us to Nexford. And just to share, I did my master's program and my doctoral degree in an online format. So I've been pretty much on every side of the online education experience, from career coaching to being an instructor. I'm also an adjunct professor to, on the curriculum side and in the career development world. So really thrilled to be here with you, a student myself. That's what I was trying to say, a learner. So please keep your questions in the Q&A and we will let's dive in. And thank you. I'll just take a look at the chat here. We have from Benin Republic, that's right, Ghana. I love seeing where people are joining from because it's that reminder that our Nexford network is incredibly vast. And whether or not you're trying to move to a different country or work in a different country, work on a different continent, your Nexford network, I think you can find someone nearly anywhere, and we're only just beginning, right? So when we think about understanding, your career planning and your personal branding, I want us to take a moment, and this is a safe space. We're recording it, but it's just going to be a private recording, right? Where are you trying to go? Where do you want your career to take you? And when I ask you this question, I was president of a consulting firm. Okay, that's great. It's good to have that really specific goal. What I want to think about is really a holistic understanding of your life, and then career being an element of it. We are not our jobs, okay? We are not our work. We are human beings we're like layered onions, right? So when we think about where we're trying to go, it's not just the specific job that you want. It's really what kind of life are you hoping to live? Now, I don't mean to take it too existential or, to be in the clouds, but I love this quote. I read a book for a book club I'm part of, and I saw this quote, I highlighted it, and I thought it was perfect for this session. So whenever you want to achieve something, keep your eyes open, concentrate, and make sure you know exactly what it is you want. No one can hit their target with their eyes closed. So I think what I encourage you to think about here is your senses. So your sight, your taste, your touch, what you're hearing. I think I'm missing a sense. And what are you working towards? When I work with people on their career development plans, again, somebody might have a very specific role in mind, but ultimately their objective might be, I want to make a certain amount of money, because when I make that certain amount of money, I'll be able to support my family, to support my extended family. I'll be able to live in a home that has certain amenities or certain, environmental factors that are going to make my life feel a certain way. I will start my morning not being in a rush. I'll be in peace because I'm able to either work from home or work near my office, things like this. Again, this will help you understand when you hear about job opportunities and companies to know, is this a good fit for me? Does this align with what I have envisioned for, my life and for my life? So thank you to everyone. We're just going to use the Q&A for questions, not for where you're based. So we'll keep the chat casual. We have someone here who's sharing in the chat that they're trying to achieve their entrepreneurship dreams. They want to scale and own 7-figure businesses. So I'd love if you could put in the chat now, what is something that you're imagining for your life? That's a really great example. Emmanuel, thank you for sharing. Is there a certain vision or a target that you have right now for your career or for your life? Because I think too, and maybe, you'll need more time to marinate on the idea. When we let other people know what we're hoping to achieve, people around us, they can then conspire for our success, right? Hopefully, when you let the right people know. Okay, I know there can be a lot of jealousy. People want to steal your ideas. People want to have your dream. But think about okay, I love this. So Rohinyo is saying he wants to achieve the best quality of living and end generations of poverty. That's great. I think too, when we think about Nexford's mission, our mission is to build socioeconomic mobility by providing access to high quality education. And so I love it when I see how our mission can be aligned with your own vision for your life. This webinar, you're not going to have all the answers at the end of it, right? But I want you to have this opportunity now to prompt your thinking. We have someone else, Carol, saying that she wants to achieve skills that will propel me to greater heights in my career for future stability and financial freedom. And think about what that financial freedom looks and feels like. Does that mean you're able to go out for dinner without having to think about the cost? Does it mean, so for some people, that's the level. For other people, they want to be taking trips to Dubai. There's a whole range, right? And none of them it's not that they're right or wrong, but you need to know for yourself what you're working towards so you can get there. So keep those comments coming in the chat. I'll keep an eye on that. Okay, someone else is saying that they want to transition from having a career in a regular 9 to 5 to owning businesses where I can do much more. What I love about seeing statements like this is we can really get into the values of your, what you're looking for in your career. And I'm going to show you a little bit into this presentation. If you're wondering, well, I'm really not sure what my values are, I have a great free assessment that you can do. And to really understand what that means for you. Okay. So thank you so much for your engagement. So when we're doing our career planning, we can dream big dreams, have a vision for our career, for our lives. And at the same time, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here a little bit because you all have made some decision that has brought you to Nexford. You have said to yourself, I want to achieve a certain, goal or objective. And that we know that when we have specific objectives and goals, we are more likely to achieve them than if just saying, without setting any goal, right? Because how can then we achieve it? So while I want you all to dream and to visualize what your career and life is looking like, we also have to ground our dreams a little bit, in the reality of what the demands of the market are. And that, involves doing research into the job market where you are and globally. So that's thinking about in-demand skills and doing research to understand what industry looks like. Many of you are looking for remote work opportunities, and I want to encourage you to keep your eyes open. I'm going to share in the follow-up, I'm getting emails from recruiters with global remote job opportunities. I try to share them in roundups. I hope one day soon we'll have a job board for you all to access these. Those jobs are available, and you really have to know where to look to find them and to have the skills to be ready for them, right? Doing your program online is you are getting equipped with essential workplace skills that you will be able to immediately apply in a remote, hybrid, or in-person workplace. And the onus or the burden or the responsibility really is on you, right? To understand what those skills are and how you can continue to cultivate or build them. So, well, we're going to talk a little bit on how you can know what those skills are and then how to build them. And we'll talk about understanding where is industry going, whatever industry it is. So I'd love in the chat if folks could share, but first I want to say this. Somebody else shared that they want to establish a sustainable event and media company that follows through issues to providing solutions and solving problems in infrastructure and the economy. That's great. So in the chat, and make sure you click on everyone. I know it automatically goes to hosts and panelists, but if you want everyone to see it, click on everyone. Share in the chat, what industry are you interested in for your next career move? Is it telecommunications, communications, finance? Is it marketing? What industry are you interested in? I'm taking a couple notes here. Next time I'll have a poll. So we have tech, construction, IT, marketing, a real diversity. E-commerce, you're probably all naming the specializations for your program. Aviation, that's great, so much. Customer experience, supply chain. So when you're thinking about the skills that you need, oil and gas, there are a couple places you can go to think about the skills that you need for your job. And here, let's see. Oh, sorry, it's a little grayed out, but I will fix that before I send it back to you. You know, there are what we call power skills. They used to be called soft skills. I know you're learning about them and building them, reinforcing them in your Nexford courses and certificates and programs. These are skills that you can apply. They're transferable across any industry. You can see them here. Creative thinking, analytical thinking, technological literacy, curiosity and lifelong learning, resilience, flexibility and agility, systems thinking, AI and big data. We have motivation and self-awareness, talent management, and then service orientation and customer experience. And you can see on the bottom of the screen, again, I'll remove this like grayed out part, what type of skill this is. Is it cognitive? Is it something related to self-efficacy or your ability to believe in yourself and your ability to complete a task or to complete something? Management skills, technology skills, working with others, engagement. These are things that, this is from the World Economic Forum in a report they released last year, that they have seen across industries, across job descriptions that are essential. What I want to encourage you to do, not as a homework assignment, but as a research, part of your own research, you listed all these industries that you're interested in: tech, finance, marketing, aviation, supply chain, construction, IT, e-commerce, customer experience, oil and gas. Whether or not you're actively job searching today, or if you think maybe it's going to be in 6 months or a year, what I want you to do is go to the website of a company that you're interested in or excited about and look at the job openings now. Even if it's not, say it's in aviation, you look at GE or an airline company, any airline, right? What are they asking for in those job descriptions? And I want you to either create a Google Doc, create a Word doc where you copy and paste the key parts of a job description, and then where are you missing skills and where do you already have skills? Some of them might be the ones that are listed here on this screen. Others you might not have yet, and you think, okay, now is an opportunity that I've identified what those skills are, right? This is a part of your career planning. And I want to keep my eyes and ears open for opportunities to cultivate those skills, whether it's in your Nexford learning, whether it's in a project that you're taking on outside, whether it's in a volunteer opportunity. And the reason it's so important is, again, when you are very specific and you think management skills or my creative thinking, then you'll start seeing it everywhere. Opportunities. You talk about it with people around you. Hey, here are some ideas that I have for some skills I want to build. What do you think? Where do you think I can build those? How can I build them? And I promise you they'll start showing up for you. Okay. And thank you to everyone who's showing that. I love your engagement of how you're sharing all of these wonderful industries that you're interested in. That's great. And let me just take a look at the Q&A. Okay. And you can also let's keep the Q&A for the questions and then the chat for our engagement during the webinar. So thank you so much. Give me a moment here. So now when it comes to industry insights, I think a lot of us can get stuck. If I asked you, what are industry trends in your region of the world or in your industry, you might look at me like, oh, I'm not, what are the top stories that are coming out? There are a couple resources that I love. I am a huge proponent of anything related to LinkedIn. For every region of the world, LinkedIn has these LinkedIn news sites. So I've hyperlinked this. When we share the presentation, you'll be able to click into it. You can also go onto LinkedIn yourself, start typing LinkedIn news and then your region. Sometimes if the market is big enough, they will have it by country. This is a really straightforward way to start your research into industry insights. Again, one of the things of many that I love about our Nexford learners and alumni is the diversity of interests that you bring to our community. So what that can be difficult though is, again, I can provide broad strokes, career advice and tips, and I'm turning to you to be the expert in your industry and your space, but giving you strategies and tools to identify your own expertise if you're still in the space of building it. So one way is, for example, if I go to the LinkedIn News Africa and I start looking at their posts and seeing new companies that they're tagging, new thought leaders that they are also tagging from different companies, whether it's CEOs or managers, whoever, employees. Then I can take it a step further, and I don't need to necessarily connect with them on LinkedIn, but I can follow those people, and that's going to further enrich my insights on an understanding of what that industry is. This is a long-term strategy. It can also be short-term if you're really diligent in identifying, within your industry, who are the thought leaders in this space. Sometimes it takes you doing a Google search, LinkedIn top voices aviation. LinkedIn is doing the work for you. We need to all work smarter, not harder, and work smarter and harder, right? But LinkedIn is identifying top voices in different industries. And so you can follow those folks. They are then in turn on LinkedIn sharing insights. Again, you just need to follow these people. And I say follow with the quotes because that's one of the buttons that, that you can choose from. Over time, this is going to be a passive way to do your research. You scroll for 5 minutes instead of it being, and I love Instagram, so no shame nor no shade to Instagram. Instead of scrolling and looking at some photos, maybe look at LinkedIn a little bit and start absorbing what those trends and things that are happening in your industry, so that when you get into an interview, you're able to pull from those folds of your brain things that you've seen on LinkedIn. Increasingly, CEOs and leaders, executives at companies are using social media platforms to share about their business rather than just from the company page. That's why I encourage you to find people. It's great to find the companies, find your industry, find your top 3 to 5, maybe 10 companies within it, and then find a couple or a few people per company so that you really, again, have this diversity of influence and opinion informing your own understanding of the industry. I saw a great example of this, and we'll put a link to his newsletter, but Caleb Maru, who runs a newsletter called Tech Safari that covers tech in Africa. And he gave a great example last week about Airbnb and a recent announcement that they did about product updates on the Airbnb platform. Now, of course, they posted it on the Airbnb page, the company page, but Brian Chesky, the CEO, did his own, of course, with the company's help, right? His own videos talking about the product updates and so on. It was something like his posts got 10 times the engagement and interaction than just the company post. So it's really important when you're doing your research on the industry insights, you don't only look at a company page, but rather look at the people who are around them. And I'll say again, these LinkedIn news pages are a great way to get started, to identify what those companies are, who's hiring, where places are growing. So let me take a look at the chat here, make sure we're good. Thank you to everyone for putting your questions in the Q&A box, and we will keep an eye on those. So next, when we're thinking about, understanding our career planning and career development, we have to be aware. We have to be self-aware and have, whether that's through self-assessments, setting SMART goals, because sometimes, there's the trend on TikTok, Instagram, that we're living our, Delulu. People are living their Delulu life, in that they create this imaginary world where everything is working in their favor and so on and so forth. It's great and it's fun to be a little Delulu. We have got to have a dose of reality to understand what our strengths are and how to lean into them, and what our growth opportunities are. So rather than, strengths and weaknesses, I genuinely believe that we have strengths and areas of growth that we can build on, but we have to know what they are. And doing exercises in this space, whatever self-assessment, again, maybe you're going to Google self-assessment, career self-assessment. I will share some in our follow-up, some links that you can do for free assessments. What you do with that information is it's a great place to start now, today, in your job search, to again understand where your skills, maybe what roles are going to be a good match for you. But then when you get into an interview, when somebody asks you inevitably what your strengths or what your weaknesses are, I don't want you to only just say, I'm a great communicator. I want you to be able to say, I took this self-assessment to better understand where my skills and strengths lie, and here's what I found. I'm really great at communication, problem solving, and leading teams. Here are some ways that I have implemented, used those skills at Nexford. Here's a project I worked on, in my job. Here's something I did. In anything related to your career planning, your career development, please keep in mind, you want to show and not just tell. I don't want you to tell me that you are a good communicator. I want you to show me how you have been a good communicator. That is essential for understanding, again, where your skills and strengths are going to fit best at a company, but also when you get into those interviews. And then, of course, when you get into your actual job and you want to have success on the job, ways to implement your strengths in a new setting. But again, these self-assessments, I know a lot of places rely heavily on them. I like to use them more as a gut check, because you probably will do one of these self-assessments and you're going to say, I already knew that. Oh, that's not news to me. But it's going to give you language. Maybe it's a new way of thinking about your skills or strengths. And again, I'll link this in the follow-up for some free assessment tools that you can use to understand your professional strengths and how they can apply. And then I'm sure, all heard about SMART goals. So let's make sure that, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Research shows that SMART goals work, okay? And you taking the time to, maybe you're going to look at a job description, and like I've encouraged you to do, you pull out some of the bullet points where you are really excited about the skills that they're looking for. But then how do you make a goal to build that skill? If you don't immediately know, I would encourage you to use something like ChatGPT, Bard, one of these tools. I want to build skills in this area. Can you suggest 3 to 5 SMART goals I can use, 3 to 5 SMART goals so that I can build skills as a communicator? It won't be a perfect science, but it's getting really good and it's great. And that can be a really great way just to start to get your ideas flowing, as a brainstorming partner. And again, to continue to build those skills so that your career planning can have a focus and get you to where you want to go for that vision that you're setting out for yourself. Something else that's really important, and I don't consider this, you'll never hear me say, follow your passion as a career advice. I think it's wonderful when people have work that they are passionate about. I don't think it's actually realistic for all of us to just follow our passion as a sole career advice. What I do think is realistic is to have a values-based job search approach. What that means is you understand what is and isn't important to you to achieve that vision that you're setting for your life and for your career. Again, what's beautiful about this is we all have unique values. What's important to you might not be important to me. What's important to me today might not be important to me in 10 years, in 5 years, or in 10 years' time. I think about there is a career development theorist called Dr. Super. He talks about these different life roles that we inhabit: being a child, being a parent, being a worker, your leisure time, being civically engaged. What else? There's a couple more. When you think about the life roles that you have now, maybe, I think about myself. I am a mother, I am a wife, I'm an employee, I am trying to be involved in my community, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter. I inhabit all of these life roles in 2024 in a very different way than I did in 2014, and in a very different way than I will in 2034. I didn't have children 10 years ago. In 10 years' time, my children are going to be much older, and your responsibilities are constantly shifting. With that, your values, I don't think it's going to change as dramatically as your life roles and your contributions will change, but your values might shift of where you want to be spending your time and how you want to be building a meaningful life. So I love this assessment tool. It's a free tool, personal values assessment, and it gives you different options that you choose from. A really great example is that I think could resonate with a lot of people. Some people love to be in the spotlight. They want to be center stage. They want to be in front, having their voice heard, being given awards, for other people, maybe you're listening to me now and you're like, that is my actual nightmare. I want to be in the backstage. I want to be behind the scenes. I want to be doing work that helps, other people who maybe want the center stage. Neither is right or wrong, right? But you need to know what is right for you. And I think doing a values assessment like this and self-assessments like the ones I'll share with you to understand your strengths, it's going to give you a vocabulary and a language to understand maybe something that didn't feel right before, and you thought, oh, I thought I had to be that way. Everyone around me, wants the center stage, or maybe everyone around me is trying to be in the back and I want to be in the front. Again, doing an assessment like this will say, oh, now I understand why I always feel comfortable when I'm in this setting or uncomfortable when I'm in another setting. That is also really important, not only for you to be comfortable as an individual in your personal and professional life, but also when you're thinking about interviewing at companies or joining a new industry. Someone's going to ask you, what type of work situation do you thrive in? Again, there's not a right or wrong answer because all types of roles and people are needed in every workplace. But we need you to know where your strengths and superpowers lie, where your values are, so that you can see and understand and have that intuition and gut reaction if there is alignment or if there is not alignment, right? Keeping an eye on our chat. And yeah, see, we have someone here, Omalara. That's me. I love the backstage that make things happen, not the front. And that's amazing for you, Omalara. And maybe, you might have been raised with a family or a community that was like, that is good, that's okay. You maybe were raised where people were like, no, let me push you to the front. We want to be sometimes in that, we don't want to be in our panic zone. We want to be a little bit in our stretch, not always in our comfort. So it's good to recognize, when we're in these different zones, and having these different feelings, right? Okay, let's go next. I want to talk a little bit about these 4 S's, because this also, all of these ideas are also aligning with your personal brand. And we've talked in other sessions, maybe you've joined them, maybe not, on how to build your personal brand. And we'll link to a blog post that we have and a really great webinar we did with last year with one of our global grid mentors, maybe it was the year before. When, I want you to think about for you right now, what situation are you in? Are you comfortably employed? Are you not really stressed about your job? I imagine many of you are here because you're really thinking about, next steps. So think about your immediate situation, whether that's your physical environment, your emotional environment, how emotionally safe you feel at work, at home. It's just good to be aware. What is it? What is the situation that I'm in? I want to change jobs. I want to change industries. I want a promotion. What is it that you want? And then next, think about yourself, your S of self. What, and this is where, the values assessment, your self-assessments come in. What personal characteristics or aspects of you are contributing to your job search and your career? Again, we have Omalara who's saying that she likes to be, or he, I'm sorry, that they like to be in the backstage, supporting people in the front. You've got to be clear on that so you can know. Next, what type of support do you have? Here, I mean, maybe in your family, and I know that you're asking yourself these questions as a Nexford learner or alumni, because you have to have support to complete your program, whether that's people who are helping out with childcare, someone who's picking up and cooking meals so that you can study a couple extra hours, someone who's doing pickup or drop off for your kids, someone who's helping you caretake for your family members if you aren't able to as much as you were before. When maybe you look at your support system and you think, I have everything in place to have the success that I hope for. Or maybe you're looking at it and you're thinking, I wish my community could step up a little bit and that I had a little bit more support. And that's important, whether it's a gap or your gap is filled here, your cup is overflowing. It's important to identify and understand what that is so that you can do something about it, whether that means maintaining that support system or asking your friends and family for more help or finding new people who are going to be able to be that support system for you. None of us don't believe anybody who says they got where they are on their own. Nobody is getting anywhere solely by themselves. We all have support systems that help us advance in our careers and our lives. People who have a lot of success typically are people who have cultivated or who have been blessed to just be born into a strong support system. And then finally, strategies. So here, I want you to think about, what am I doing today and any day to advance in my career? If you're sitting at home waiting for somebody to just knock on your door and give you that dream job, please let me be the one to unfortunately break it to you. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that's true for any of you though, because all, over 115 of you who are attending live, you are proactive enough to be here now and you're like, I want to learn. I'm hungry for more. So I don't think, any of you are lacking in these strategies, but it's important that we do from time to time, we take stock of, what am I doing? Am I proactively identifying what skills I need to build and then going out and building them? How am I building my network and connecting with new people who are going to share those new insights about the industry or the roles that I'm interested in? If we don't have specific strategies, with those SMART goals or what we're doing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to advance and move forward, life starts to happen to you. You aren't making life happen. And I don't want that for you. I want you all to feel like you're able to take charge of your career and your lives and again, pivot and promote into those dream sectors and roles. But that only can happen when we really take the time to assess ourselves, our skills, our values, and then think about these different, S's here, the situation that I'm in, myself and what skills I have, the support structure I have in place, and then specific strategies I'm doing to advance. Let's move in now. I'm going to take a moment. I'm looking at the chat, and I love hearing what you all are saying. Some people, they're not stressed at work right now. They just want a promotion. Someone says, I'm comfortable at work and I think it's affecting my growth. That is that's incredible to recognize, because some people would just say, you know what, I just want to keep coasting. But I can tell you're wanting to, do more and continue to grow. So you're thinking, how can I push myself? Someone else is self-employed, they enjoy what they're doing, and take joy in trading in oil and gas, and they want to build their network and connect with other people in areas of business. And someone else is enjoying consulting. That's great. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear how many of you have clarity in what it is that where you're trying to grow or what you're enjoying. And if you don't have that clarity already, don't worry. You're here, you're learning, you're growing, and it's going to come, okay? Personal branding, we're hearing about it more and more. And whether or not you want a personal brand, you already have one. There's a quote by Bezos, your brand is something along these lines, right? What people say about you when you're not in the room. What are people saying about you when you're not in a virtual or physical room? Are they saying you're reliable, unreliable, always available, always unavailable? Think about, again, you might want to look back to the job descriptions that you've collected when you do, and the skills that people are looking for. You might be now, well, gosh, I think my personal brand might be that I'm perceived as unreliable, or, whatever it might be, maybe some negative ones. It's okay. Not so great things that you're known for, because then at least you've identified them and you can work on improving them. Again, I can't tell you what they are for you. I don't know how you all are perceived or what your personal brand is. But I'd love for you to put in the chat, and I do this whenever we have our personal branding workshops or sessions. Who is someone that you think of when I say someone who has a strong personal brand? Who comes to mind? Is it somebody in your country? Is it somebody globally who you think of, oh, I'm thinking of someone who is really charismatic, who's enthusiastic, who is brilliant? Who's somebody that comes to mind for you that has a really defined personal brand? And you can put that in the chat, and we'll save the Q&A for the questions. But if you want to put in the chat, here you might think of a celebrity, you might think of someone in your faith community, you might think of a friend, a fellow, our Nexford learners and alumni. Some of you, and I'm sure you're on the call, already have remarkable personal brands that you're building on different social media platforms by the content that you're sharing. Exactly. Tony Elumelu and his foundation, absolutely, definitely a strong personal brand. Anybody else? Does anyone else come to mind for you all that you have? Mark Zuckerberg, Rick Lewis, and another Tony Elumelu. People will sometimes say Oprah. You think about celebrities and famous people, they have an army of people behind them in the backstage, right, who are helping cultivate their personal brand. When you're thinking about yours, and here I have, oh yeah, Dan Goatee, exactly, who's, Donald Trump, for better or for worse, right? And sometimes people have positive angled, personal brands, Funke Akindele, Peter Obi, His Excellency Peter Obi, absolutely. Our own board member, Dr. Ezekwesili, Richard Branson, absolutely. His Instagram stories always are entertaining to me. But think about these people who have, again, PR folks behind them, social media specialists. You don't need all of that. What you need are 3 to 5 words, keywords that are connected to you and what you care about. Some of you, that might be the industries that you've just shared. It might be supply chain and logistics, oil and gas, construction. And then I want you to get, another level deeper. What about it within that industry is especially interesting to you? Are you an accountant who specializes in aviation? Again, I cannot tell you what it is from this group call, but I want you to just sit and think. I keep a notebook with me. Maybe you want to brainstorm. Another very fun exercise, which I've done on Instagram. I was starting my own newsletter, and I thought, why don't I ask my people who know me best? I have a private Instagram. So I put a poll, a question box. I was like, what words come to mind when you think of me? That's not cheating. I'm just, crowdsourcing and leveraging my network. So when you're thinking about your own personal brand, you're not going to show up online the same way that Richard Branson or Dr. Obi or Oprah or Dangote are showing up. You have your own unique angle and perspective and interests. Over time, through your career materials, whether that's your resume or CV, or on social media platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, any platform where you're sharing information, you are in the driver's seat of how people perceive you. And then that's going to influence what opportunities come your way. And I guarantee you, this is not a get rich quick scheme. This is over time. But if you consistently show up as somebody who is sharing remote roles online, or sharing articles about the IT trends in information technology or trends in aviation over time, and I'm talking just posting once a week, talking about it in your real life community, people will start to associate these concepts and ideas with you. But it all has to start with you. How do you want to be known? What do you want people to think about you? What do you want people to say about you when you're not in the room? And I want to share a negative example, because this, it can go both ways. You can have a negative personal brand, you can have a positive personal brand, right? So think about even something as ubiquitous as WhatsApp. I could probably guarantee that everyone on this call has WhatsApp downloaded on their phone. If you don't have WhatsApp, you probably have another social media channel, and you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. So, WhatsApp has WhatsApp status updates. So anyone that you've ever messaged with could potentially show up in your WhatsApp status update. So sometimes I take a look and I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't been in touch with that person in a while. I'll look and click through their stories or their updates. I met this woman once who was the project director for a really big, important, government funded program. That's an important job, at least how I perceive it, right? On her WhatsApp status updates, she was posting, and I'm not talking once in a while, every day, 5 or 10 updates on, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's time for me to get a drink. I'm going to go to the bar after work. I'm going to do that. People drink alcohol. I'm aware of that. I had to actually unfollow that person on WhatsApp because I couldn't see her in real life and not think about these really, in my opinion, inappropriate WhatsApp status updates that she was making that really informed that was her personal brand for me, not the incredible work that I know that she's accomplishing on the project she's working on, which again, we're not only our work, but at the same time, be aware of anywhere that you're sharing information online, that is, or in person, right? That's who you are. You are being yourself. And I hope It's just a reminder for all of us. You might think, oh, I'm just sharing this with my friends. Like nobody but my friends are going to look at this WhatsApp status update. Please, even when you have private, social media profiles, people are screenshotting, be aware. And I cannot stress this enough. When you make comments on LinkedIn posts, everybody can see it who's in your network. Even if I'm not connected to somebody, their comments are showing up in my feed. So if you're out there, you're making negative comments in WhatsApp groups, on LinkedIn pages, lots of other people can see it. That doesn't mean that we can't have contradictory opinions or share aspects of ourselves from our personal lives, like that you enjoy hiking or going on trips or whatever. Just be aware what you're sharing. How is it speaking to the type of person that you are or that you want to be? And the only person who can really shape that, or the person who can best shape that perception, is you. So take a look at your resume, take a look at your LinkedIn profile. Ask yourself, what am I telling the world about who I am and what I care about with these materials or with my social media presence? It's really critical, and I can't stress it enough. If you are unsure, ask a friend, use a tool. I'm gonna put Teal, a great tool that has a free LinkedIn review tool. So someone here is saying, this is so true. I can totally relate. Need to work on my branding on Twitter though. No problem. I always say too, I have a book. It says, start where you are. We are all somewhere on the journey. No one is arriving at the final destination of a perfect personal brand. And again, just like our values and our life roles might shift, what you care about and what is your personal brand, it might shift over time too. So take some time to really think about it. And I always like to think about, you see most marketing professionals have a 3 to 5 words or 3 to 5 things that are connected to them or associated with their brand. So for everyone, again, we'll put this in the follow-up, but go to this website, tealhq.com. They have a free LinkedIn assessment tool. It's top notch. And there is a LinkedIn profile review tool in there, so you can optimize your profile. Again, here we aren't going to have enough time to talk about building out full content, career content strategy. But suffice it to say, like I've been sharing, you want to make sure you have a cohesive presence. So that doesn't mean that you can't care about the environment and also construction, or being a beekeeper, right? You can have all of those identities, but try not to, share 45 different identities, right? So someone's asking about mixing. I have a passion for counseling. I don't know if you mean like career counseling or career coaching, and also oil and gas. Akene, are you able to share what you mean by counseling? I think too, I'm sometimes a little bit of a stickler on this difference between counseling and coaching. I am a coach because I'm not a licensed counselor. Counseling typically is talking about people who are looking at your past to understand your future, who are digging into the childhood, to your past experiences. And coaching is really future focused and building out action plans. But yeah, and I think absolutely it's possible to mix both. And you see people doing both all the time. They are a subject matter expert in fintech, oil and gas, and they also have the side where they want to coach and if they are a counselor, but coach people into that field. And pay attention. Who's doing it really well that you know online? Again, it might be these super ultra famous people that you've listed, but I'm sure there's people who, again, look at our Nexford community and see some of our learners and alumni and what they're posting. What techniques and strategies are they using? Pay attention to that for maybe a week and write down, have a little notepad or on your phone, a notes app. What ways are they engaging you as a consumer of content? And then how can you try and emulate that? I hope that's helpful. And I'm so happy that this is helpful, Joy. You said, I'm also taking some time to build my brand on social media. This is wonderful. People are using Facebook. Yeah, if you're a small business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, this is critical is to take stock of your personal brand, how people perceive you, because that's your company's identity. We have so many questions, so I want to quickly, I'll wrap up here. Navigating the job market. We have our next career corner next month, so I hope you'll also attend so we have enough time. But think about what market research you're doing, and your strategies for applying to different jobs. I sometimes will work, again, marketing is kind of an easy one because the example I'll share. But if you are trying to build a career in marketing, and I go and I look on your profile and you aren't applying the strategies yourself that you would potentially be using in a job, how can I know as an external recruiter or someone in your network that you're capable of those skills? I can't. So I want you to treat sometimes your own job search as an experiment. How can you demonstrate to others, again, through LinkedIn, through other ways, your skills? And so I see someone in the chat saying, Emmanuel, a lot of these coaches only offer paid tuition and don't respond to me. How can you navigate this? They are offering so many free resources online. Learn from people and what they're sharing for free. Attend those webinars. You don't necessarily need to, it's great if you can meet with somebody one-on-one, but if it's not financially feasible, learn from what they're sharing. Make notes. Again, set that direction for yourself and continue to crowdsource around you, and pay attention to the advice that people are sharing. And again, if you're feeling like you're a little bit behind on social media, I love this. Someone says, I want to work on it, but I'm learning. We are all learning, right? And take your time. Don't be so hard on yourself. And of course, if people are not sharing all of the information, think about, Emmanuel, what are your specific questions? Okay. Again, I talk with job seekers all the time who I ask you, what are the companies that you're looking for? And you're like, oh, people will respond, well, I want to work in the aviation industry. Okay, well, who are the top 5 to 10 companies that you're looking at? And they're like, well, I haven't really thought about that. You have got to put in the work. Meeting with someone one-on-one, it's incredible and it can be super helpful. At the same time, you really need to be turning inward and looking at yourself and what's possible. Someone here talking about digital transformation. I hope you're following the African Development Bank and the work that's coming out of the US, I think it's Africa Trade and Commerce, Secretary Blinken. The United States is dedicating, I think, $850 million to digital transformation in Africa. Please make sure you're following on LinkedIn these different things. Look at his recent visit and see how, what companies are adopting digital transformation and so on. Okay, we have got lots going on here. Super engaged chat. I love it. We won't have enough time to continue on here, but thinking about your mindset. So maybe you've heard about growth mindsets and fixed mindsets. I'm seeing a little bit of fixed mindset in the chat, but this isn't enough, but here, but there. What is possible? This is not living in what you might call a Pollyanna or a utopian, experience. When you have a growth mindset, you see challenges as opportunities to get better. You're identifying, what am I coming up against as a wall? What is a challenge to me? I feel like I'm not doing enough, but what is not enough? What am I missing? Again, I'm being realistic with what my skills and abilities are. And I'm thinking, how can I grow and continue to advance? But that's why, all of you are here and you're building these different skills, and I can tell you have that growth mindset within you. But I also want to encourage you to think about building our confidence. You are capable. I don't want you to go out there and say, you're an astrophysicist if you've never taken a physics class, but I want you to be able to identify achievable goals. Again, those SMART goals, things that are realistic, but also, a little bit of a stretch to build your confidence. You are at Nexford. You are going to an amazing academic institution. So I hope that as you're completing your courses and your certificates and your degree programs, that you're saying to yourself, you're capable and that it's helping foster those skills in you. Oops, this last one is on networking and relationship building and the importance of building relationships, because relationships are really what's going to help advance in your career. Again, try and think of it as like a funnel approach. You look at a LinkedIn news website, you see companies they tag, you see the CEO. You don't have to necessarily connect with them, follow them, see who's liking their posts and commenting on it. Connect with your fellow Nexford alumni and learners. We will share in the follow-up our LinkedIn alumni group. We have, of course, our WhatsApp groups, but I want you all to be on our LinkedIn alumni group so you can see updates and start networking with people in our group. We have so many amazing questions, but we're at time. And so I'm just trying to see, I will share the update for the LinkedIn profile review. Someone's asking about having that their resume was too lengthy. I think our next workshop is on career materials. If it's not the next one, it's the one after that. And if it's neither of those, we'll add it. So yes, having a great resume is super important. We have a Nexford template that we will also share. And we will share resources on building your personal brand. I'm not able to meet with all of you one-on-one. I am but one person, and we are, thousands of learners, but I do my best. So I'm making a note. I'll share a link to the optimization tool because you all are wanting that. We have challenging, will not also pretend that we are not in a market, and people are hiring. Okay, great. Yes, we'll share all the slides, and we have our effective job search strategies and networking. This is to gear you up for our next session. So we're going to have to wrap up. Before we wrap up, I want us to practice, put into practice our metacognition here. What is one takeaway you have from this session on understanding your career path and planning and building your personal brand? Can you share it in the chat? Something that really is sticking with you that you're going to take away for after this webinar and put into practice? I'd love to know. Let's see what's coming in the chat. Let me open her up. Oops. What do we have here? I'm going to pop out the chat. Okay, I love it. Look how you're engaged you are. Identifying SMART goals, being strategic in building my personal brand, the need to work on or build my social media presence, following relevant trends, doing self-assessment, having a positive growth mindset, building my personal brand, building relationships, understanding what my values are and what I want out of my career. Yeah. Personal branding, focus and sticking to goals. You all, this has been a delight. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. My name is Jennifer Bangoura. I am thrilled to be your Director of Career Innovation, and we'll look forward to engaging with you all again soon. Thank you for your incredible engagement. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you. And you will receive a recording.